Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to the Big Mouth Daily Live. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. What happened to the Snyder fans? Listen, nobody, no geek or nerd who went to see Justice League in 2017 was pleased with what they got. Nobody. It was a weird experience. It starts off okay and gradually it bashes you over the head with this underwhelming feeling, and you do feel betrayal. And I felt betrayed. And I remember all the talk and the fact that the movie came in as a flop. And it was such a horrible feeling because I thought to myself, what happens to the DCEU now? This is a Justice League movie. This was the one that was going to do as well as Avengers or better than Avengers. This was the one we were going to finally say to the MCU fans, we're better than you. And it was a total embarrassment. And we were all embarrassed. There's no question about that. And we tried to kind of justify the film in our heads. Well, it's all right. But it wasn't all right. It's one of those moments in Hollywood history where a studio can be absolutely embarrassed of what happened. Everyone should be embarrassed of what happened. Now, what happened was at first there was this petition about getting Snyder's cut released. Now, I was fully aware that Snyder has shot all his sequences and scenes. I knew that because I saw the celebration when they wrapped production in London. Snyder was thanking people. Mama was dancing and taking Gal's sword and having a right old laugh. So I knew he'd shot his movie. Now, whether or not he actually had a cut of the film was another discussion, and the debate rolled on. But in my mind, it was always irrelevant if he had cut his own movie together because he had shot his sequences. He could put the movie together at any time. Now, I believe there wasn't actually a Snyder cut at the time, but I believed that there could be a film put together. It's clear that maybe there wasn't actually a Snyder cut until later on, a year or so afterwards. I think Snyder probably was putting it together in his own time with his own money, and it, of course, was put together in black and white, which we know now. So that petition was fraudulent. This person who set up the petition was faking signatures and everything. I had signed that petition. I wanted to see what happened. I wanted to see the continuation of Batman versus Superman. Everybody did. It was, as I say, it was one of those things. After an explosion, you think, what happens now? What happens to the DCEU? I remember when Mark Hughes from Falls was saying they were going to reboot it, and I got blocked by him because I was arguing. I said, no, Aquaman is coming. It's not going to be a reboot. As we can see now with Flashpoint, they're going to kind of semi-reboot the franchise. So he was right and I was wrong. Anyway, someone started hashtagging release the Snyder Cut. Some very tasty information was coming out, but it was coming out from fans. It was coming from a young woman called Fiona. Obviously, these weren't established sources. Things were being said about Jeff Johns. I was a big Jeff Johns fan. I rejected what was being said. It's clear to me even now that Jeff Johns was just a producer, a lead of this franchise trying to manage a very, very destable situation. And no one could manage this situation. Of course, this franchise from the very beginning, before Snyder was even brought on, was given to Christopher Nolan because his friend David S. Goyer had an idea about a Superman movie. Now, if Christopher Nolan was made DC film president, the position that Walter Hamada holds now, that it would have been fine. He would have been the president and Snyder would have reported directly to him. Now, Warner Brothers wouldn't have liked what was going on any more than they did, but with Nolan as DC film president, no one can touch it. Snyder would have been able to do his 5-movie arc, then move on. Nolan would have protected him and everything was fine. But Nolan didn't want any responsibility. But he protected Snyder during Man of Steel. But really, he wasn't protecting Snyder. He was protecting his and David S. Goyer's vision. And then after that, he was an executive producer, but he wasn't really involved. There was no one to protect Snyder's vision. So this is what happened. And, you know, Batman versus Superman, that explosion happened. and Suicide Squad happened, and that explosion happened. Ultimately, Snyder had to leave, and it was a mess, and they thought they could, cobble something together, which they did, but it was an embarrassment. So all of a sudden, people were hashtagging release the Snyder Cut, giving out information. There was someone actually putting together their own version of the Snyder Cut. It was a very weird and exciting time. So we were all fighting to release the Snyder Cut. And what I discovered was a great heroic bunch of fans. They weren't toxic people. They were very good people. I made some friends. I discovered Ping Pong Flicks, Chris Wong Spencer's channel. It was very informative. He was doing the headlines each day. He was fighting for the Snyder Cut. I think he was a lot different with the style that he did his channel in. He was a genuine fan. He was just someone who started a YouTube channel like me, and he just wanted to get the word out there, what was going on with the Release the Snyder Cut campaign. It was a very small campaign, and these were just very genuine people fighting for somebody's vision. But the truth was, I wasn't fighting for the director or because his daughter had taken her own life or anything like that. I was fighting for myself. I wanted to see this movie. Ronnie Dodge, morning, mate. A fan met Ezra last night and posted a picture. He has longer hair. Interesting. So he's going to have long hair, or is he got longer hair when he goes into the new universe? Very, very interesting. Billy Farrell, March. Hello, Billy. And so it was a very solid fandom with a great cause. And we were fighting, and we were very small, but more information would come out. We didn't even know at the time if Snyder wanted this to happen. No one had communication with Snyder. He was very, very quiet. As the fandom and the movement became bigger, Snyder obviously sniffed that this was the situation. So all of a sudden, this social media platform called Vero came out, and he was on there. He was protected on there from the trolls. It was literally just friendly people following him. He started to show pictures and say some stuff, and it was very interesting. We were thinking, is he allowed to post these things? Is he breaking some kind of embargo? Warner Brothers kept really quiet and allowed him to do it. So clearly he was allowed to do it. And Warner Brothers probably thought, you know what, we're just getting on with, putting Aquaman out there, and let's see what we can do here. Can we fix this with Aquaman? Of course they did. So the Release the Snyder Cut campaign became bigger and bigger and bigger. But as it became bigger, some people within the movement became celebrities. They started their own YouTube channels. I've already discussed Chris Wong Spencer, whose channel is huge right now, and he's doing very well, not just discussing Snyder and his movies, but actually talking about entertainment in general. Ronnie Dodge, restore the Snyderverse movement is gone, and we're never able to trend because people want to move on. Kurt Manchester United fan, Australia glazed out. Hello, bro. Yeah, well, it's interesting. Didn't they have an event last night, Ronnie? And I don't think it trended. We'll get to why it's not trending anymore. So all of a sudden, it was huge. And people became celebrities. And Snyder would post more and more. And then SnyderCon happened and all the whole wake the fuck up thing. And it really began to have momentum. And of course, in that fine, I think, November day, when we trended by 1 million, and the rumors started. I remember posting a video myself. I said, this is going to happen now. Gal, Ben, something's going on. The day before that happened, Grace Randolph was telling us, make sure you hashtag release the Snyderverse. And we did it. It was huge. Ronnie Dodge, November 2019. Yeah, it seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it, Ronnie? And so that was a great night. And that was a night of celebration. So what happened? What happened to our great fandom? And it was a great fandom. There's a lot of people in that fandom I still love and respect, by the way. But I blocked about 3 or 4 yesterday because I've had enough of it. But we'll get to that. Once the film was greenlit, you would have thought it was party time, it was peacetime. But that wasn't to be. All of a sudden, Ray Fisher confirmed that the stuff he said at Comic-Con San Diego about Joss Whedon being a stand-up guy was a lie. We all applauded Fisher at the time, including me. I covered it on my channel in pre-recorded vids. I was very honest. I thought he was a great guy and an honest guy, and I thought the investigation was the right move. Suddenly one day he he tried to expose Walter Hamada, the current DC film president. I started to become uneasy and I started to speak out. It's then when I realized the fandom became a little bit splintered, but our event was still huge. We were still a big fandom because the Snyder Cut was happening. It was a big deal. So Ray Fisher carried on and carried on and carried on. And the more he carried on, the more I felt uncomfortable about him, that he didn't care about Cyborg, that he didn't care about DC fans or even the Snyder fans, that he had his own agenda, which he had and he has. So all of a sudden, I started being put off by him. Now, the more we got into it, the more Snyder was recording, obviously putting his film together. He shot his own sequences, which was exciting. And the sequences he shot were stunning with Jared Leto and Amber Heard, etc. I liked what he did, but he was told not to. That would come out later on. Now, the real explosion happened when the movie was released. But even before then, the real explosion happened when we found out, no, it wasn't going to be in an episodic format anymore. It was going to be a movie. And I kind of thought that was strange, even though that's what I wanted. I never wanted it in episodes. I can see now the episodes thing would have been better for the movie. And I think that was the plan, because I think at that time they were planning to release Justice League Series 2 and Justice League Series 3. We were saying it, some insiders who had Snyder's ear were saying it as well. When Snyder was asked why it wasn't a series anymore and it was a movie, he talked about contracts being complicated. I never believed that for one reason, because if that was the case, it would never have been greenlit as a series. They would have done their due diligence and they would have known it was implausible to do it. So that was bullshit. There's another reason we went from episodes to a movie. Little did we know that Snyder was falling out with WB all over again. It was Groundhog Day, just like it was when he was running the actual franchise. We found out that they didn't want him to have his Green Lantern in it, right? Because they were developing their own. They told him not to shoot things, and he still did. And Ray Fisher was going out trying to expose Walter Hamada, who was just doing his job, who was just echoing what the studio were telling Walter to tell him. Walter Hamada wasn't part of what happened when Whedon was doing the reshoots and rewrites. But for some reason, Ray Fisher decided to go to war with Walter Hamada. At one point, Ray Fisher was going to play Cyborg in the Flash movie. Then he came out and said, I will not work on any production under Walter Hamada. He then twisted things, as his fans did, and said that Ray Fisher was sacked from the Flash movie. That's not the case. How can you refuse to work under someone who's working in a movie and then say you were fired? They gave him every opportunity to shoot, to be part of it. He even saw the script. He even had discussions with Andy Muschietti. So he was part of it. He was not fired. He didn't want to work on the production, but he was quite willing to do reshoots with Snyder for Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut, which was really exciting because, again, he was part of those extra scenes, and they were great extra scenes. Ronnie Dodger used the fandom of his own game, which is just wrong. Agreed, Ronnie, definitely. Ronnie Dodger, I think they wanted episodes, but Ray Fisher, being Ray, made it difficult for them to carry on, so they just wanted the thing out. Yet the idea of putting it as a film instead of episodes was them giving up. Warner Brothers deciding, we just can't work with this guy. We just can't work with these people. So as the day came and the Snyder Cut was released, it was very exciting. I really enjoyed the movie. It's a fabulous movie. Anne Sarnoff did a piece with The Variety. And she was speaking about the multiverse strategy, or the Hamadaverse, whatever you want to call it. And she said that we wanted to give Zack the opportunity to complete his trilogy. Now, of course, we know Zack wasn't making a trilogy. We know the intention was a 5-movie arc, not including the Batfleck movie. So we already knew that. We knew they'd closed this thing down. But by doing the article with Variety, Sarnoff wanted to make it clear that they were done with Snyder. But unlike the past, when it was Warner Brothers Pictures and Snyder going at it, Sarnoff was speaking for the whole of Warner Media. Now, at the time, I was very against what Sarnoff did, but now I get it. She was speaking for the whole studio, the whole company. They had had enough of Zack Snyder and his tactics. My opinion is this now, that Zack Snyder never wanted to restore the Snyderverse. All Zack Snyder and Ray Fisher really wanted was revenge on Warner Brothers. Listen, it was a horrible situation. Situations that directors and creatives go through all the time, where studios and creatives have a difference of opinion and they have to go their separate ways. But Zack Snyder is probably the first creative to fight back and get his movie done, released. Now that is an amazing achievement. You know, an amazing achievement. What he did, the fight we fought with him, to fight alongside the director. Now I feel a little bit manipulated because now I know, basically in my mind and my heart, that he had no intention. He didn't really want the Snyderverse to be restored. He wanted revenge on the Warner Brothers company and not Warner Media, but Warner Brothers. He wanted revenge for what they did to him. So once he got his film greenlit, that was his agenda. And, you know, obviously Ray Fisher was with him. It's an agenda of revenge. That's it. And it puts the fans last, and it puts his and Fisher's agenda first. And this is where everything's become stabilized. Now, as soon as we had that Variety hit piece with Ann Sarnoff, we trended with 1.5 million viewers. Snyder responded to a fan by saying they can't ignore this. Of course, they have ignored this. And since the fandom has splintered into little corners, and now the fandom is this, shouting and screaming about other people's versions that they love. What one of them said yesterday about Bruce Timm's Harley being a sexist depiction, and people talk about David Ayer. Why are you talking about Bruce Timm? Because Bruce Timm wasn't attempting to be sexist. David Ayer may have been making commentary on on toxic masculinity, maybe. That's why he did it. But it still doesn't look good. It does look like the objectification of one Margot Robbie and one Harley Quinn. And we've seen how she's responded to that with her Birds of Prey movie. That is a consequence of what David Ayer did in Suicide Squad. Something that certainly didn't happen in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. So things like this, you know, people coming out and saying that Christopher Reeve's Superman killed the 3 villains from Krypton in the Fortress when they just slid down an ice slide, right? We don't know what happened to them. Maybe they're dead, maybe they're not. Maybe they're in prison. I don't know. I don't care. I love Superman 2 and I love Christopher Reeve's Superman. Ronnie Dodge, I feel used by Zack and Ray. It's sad and makes me sad. Yes, I echo your emotions, Ronnie. I really do. And, you know, today I wanted to come in. There's no articles really to read. There's not much news, so I thought I'd do this. I did 3 videos back to back, pre-recorded yesterday. I hope you all enjoyed them. That they're for you at the end of the day. We had a bit of a dead night on the stream. Not many people were in, so I decided to fight back with my videos just to try and get some people interested. But yeah, so now we've got people shouting and screaming at each other, trying to put down other people's live action DC versions. It's echoes of how this thing started. When we came in to release the Snyder Cut, we were just basically on the premise of trying to get something that we wanted. We felt robbed, and we fought for the guy's cut. We fought for it, we got it, we made friends, we had banter, we had a laugh. It was enjoyable. JDTSB. Been a member since the movement started. Zack had nothing to do with our activities. He expected the movement to fizzle out, but we stayed strong. I never said to him, well, listen, we started the movement, right? Slowly but surely. Fiona started it. But once he saw it got big, obviously, yes, he did think it was going to fizzle out, but it didn't. And once he saw it got big, he got involved. He really saw a realistic chance of releasing his cut. So he got involved and teased us to make it bigger, to make the noise bigger. So he may not have started it, but he kept it going. And there's nothing wrong with that, JTSB. But we've moved further along now. We were a great fandom, a great voice for this director and his cut. We wanted to see his nightmare future in the Justice League movie. And what's actually interesting, the Justice League Snyder Cut we saw wasn't the vision he wanted to show us. That wasn't the scary idea. The scary idea probably would have come in Justice League 2. Justice League 3 is the epilogue, right? Justice League 3 is the conclusion. We could have had all of it if Christopher Nolan became DC film president when Zack was in point making these movies. He would have been protected. We would have seen the arc. He would have he would have done his Flashpoint and we would have had a new creative, like they do in the comics. It would have been clean, easy. People would still have opinions about him, and that's fine. Ronnie Dodge, I'm so excited for the multiverse now. The Snyderverse won't be forgotten, but now it's about the future of the DCEU. Now, JDTSB, we have a challenge now because one of our founders is in the hospital, and some people want to grab the leadership, the same people who said there is no Snyder Cut. Do you know what's interesting? I think you're talking about Fiona. I'm very sorry for Fiona. I don't know Fiona. I don't know if she's a good person or a bad person. I've spoken to her before. She was a great kid. I don't like what's been done to her. In terms of leadership, JDTSB, this is not a company. This is not Ewing Oil versus the Barneses. This is not Dallas. This is not Dynasty. There's no leadership. No one is in charge of this fandom. They never were. No one was in charge. What happened was we were a fucking mess until RT Snyder Cut came in and said, we need to be less shouty. We need to be, when we're talking to people, we need to be calm. We need to do this. We need to do that. They really organized us. And I don't know who was behind it. I still think Snyder was behind it. He's behind RT Snyder Cut. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But there's no leadership here. No one's in charge of this thing. Basically, people fighting for the leadership of this movement now is like someone, as the Titanic sinks, trying to fight for leadership of that boat. There's no point trying to be in charge of a sinking ship, right? But there's nothing to be in charge of. No one's the leader of this movement. No one was ever the leader of this movement. We were a bunch of, well-meaning fans fighting for a good thing. We fought. We had, obviously, that hit piece back in the day, and we kind of started to give up. And then Zach inspired us again. It was I forgot what it was. Who did that? Who was that journalist? Ben Fritz. Ben Fritz did that hit piece, and we kind of lost hope. And then Zach brought us back up again. It was great. It was a saga. We won. We've got the movie in our collections now. It's beautiful. And we could have had more, but I believe that Zach wanted revenge for how he was treated. Now, some people will say, why can't he have his revenge? Because he had an opportunity to restore the Snyderverse, and instead he went out for revenge, exposing the studio constantly, him and Ray Fisher. That's what destroyed this. This is what made it a film and not episodes. That's why we're not getting Justice League Series 2. That's why we're not getting Justice League Season 3. It is over. It is over. There's no question about that. And it didn't have to be over. What I'm trying to say in this video, this stream, is we started with such pure intentions. And look at us now. I can no longer associate myself with some of these people. As I said earlier, I've blocked 3 or 4 of them. People I thought were good people, but I can't. One of them saying, you've gone off the rails lately, Mick. I haven't gone off the rails. My eyes have opened. I've seen what's happened. I've spoken to people on the inside. I know exactly what happened while Zach was putting together the Snyder Cut and what happened between him and the studio. And the studio will not remain silent. There will be an article. There will be an interview. They will come out and tell their side of the story, and it will break the internet. It will happen just before Flashpoint, I predict, just to make sure that everybody's clear on what really happened. As I say, we have pure intentions. We were a great fandom. I don't think we're a great fandom anymore. JDTSB, I was referring to the admin of the RTSC. Oh, right, I don't know anything about that. But whoever it is, whoever's in hospital, I thought that someone told me that Fiona wasn't very well. So if that's false information, I apologize. But yeah, whoever's ill and whoever's in the hospital out of humanity is very sad. And I don't want them to, anything bad to happen to them, of course. Ronnie Dodge, the Snyderverse movement is now the Titanic, a sinking ship leading to nowhere now apart from the bottom of the Atlantic. It's true. It's sad. I have over 800 subscribers. Most of those subscribers were gained through my support for Release the Snyder Cut. I don't forget that. I was fighting the fight like everyone else. Now, I wasn't doing as much as others were doing, and I'm not trying to take any credit. I did a little incy bit, maybe not even a little incy bit, but I stood with everyone and I fought to the end. And I thought once we got it green lit, that was it. I was doing videos. It's all coming back. The Snyderverse is going to be restored. I spoke to people and they were saying there was a very good chance, but it all went wrong because Snyder wanted revenge. And that's a shame. And now our fans have destabilized in different corners. But you know what? I was a DC fan before Zack Snyder did Man of Steel, and I'm still a DC fan. And I want to see an interconnected, beautiful universe that we can all enjoy, not just a small group of people. And I'm really excited for the plan that Walter Hamada and Greg Berlanti have been planning since 2018 to unite the Arrowverse and the DCEU and other corners of the multiverse, doubling down on the multiverse. That is very, very exciting for me because I can't carry on going over old ground. I see it how I see it. I see what's going on. The toxicity, the arguments. JDT SB actually said live on this stream that people are trying to, be in charge of this fandom. Be in charge of what? No one has ever been in charge of me. I'm the fucking daddy. I'm the fucking Don. No fucking Davey Pinar or John Aaron Garza or whoever is in charge of me. I'm the fucking daddy. I'm the Don. I'm in charge of me. I fought for this because I wanted to fight for this. No one tells me what to do. And they never did. I fought for the Snyder Cut in my own way. And I'm proud of that. By never causing trouble or bullying people or sliding on people's DMs or screenshotting something that someone said in 1800 B fucking C and trying to use it against them and cancel them. Because we all say things and contradict ourselves. We've all said maybe a little thing about Zack and someone screenshot, look what he said, he's not a real fan. People telling me that I can't fight for Restore the Snyderverse and stand the multiverse. How dare you? How dare you tell me what I can say? Nobody tells me what to do. Nobody tells me what to say. There's a warning for everyone. Stay in your lane while dealing with me. That's it. Because the only people who come after me are the people who don't know me. And I think that's a true fact. People underestimate people, especially people like me who are nice, kind, come across smiley. Maybe you think you can keep on knocking me on the chin, but you can't. And you certainly can't put down the stuff I grew up with. Do it on your own timeline, not mine, which means you have to be unfollowed. That means you have to be blocked because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that Christopher Reeve Superman and Tyler Hoechlin Superman murdered a bunch of people when they didn't murder a bunch of people, right? I don't want to hear that the Joker in Gotham was crap and Jared Leto is better, which is not the case, by the way. The one on Gotham is actually one of the best versions we've ever seen. Most people say that. I'm fed up of it. Your words are not working. Your words are not working. Suck it, Warner Brothers. What do you think that does, suck it, Warner Brothers? Do you think they're crying? Do you think they care? Toxic Bros, do you think they care? They were trying to make money. They're a business. They didn't bring Snyder in. Nolan did. And he couldn't even be bothered to run the franchise. He could have protected Snyder. Snyder could have done his arc, and it would have been over by now. But that's not what we got. We got an absolutely embarrassing clusterfuck of a situation. A director exposing a studio. How embarrassing for us fans. Ray Fisher, the shit he keeps on saying. The stuff he said the other day is like an old man. Don't think it's over, Warner Brothers, because I've been told by industry insiders that I should keep on going. Yeah, I'm sure that the cleaning lady and the dinner lady really inspired you, Ray, but nobody cares anymore. Your words had weight when we didn't have the Snyder Cut yet, but now it's been and gone. You've got nothing to fight for. It's done. So you can keep on talking, but it doesn't matter, right? If you don't want a career, you don't want a career. Who cares? It doesn't make you brave. You're probably some rich bloke, secret rich bloke who lives in a mansion, right? So you can afford to lose your career. And I'm sure a few people will give you work. Ronnie Dodger, I want to hear Warner Brothers' side. I'm not one-sided. There's always two sides to a story. Not one. I can see that now. And their side will come out, and they're just biding their time, and this is what companies do. At the end of the day, nobody beats these companies, and people are so naive to think that this company is just going to sit there. They're just biding their time. They're collecting all their data, or however you want to say it, and things will happen and things will develop. But the multiverse strategy is happening. It's happening. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, a film these people are calling The Joke Squad, a film they haven't seen yet, and they're putting it down already because of bitterness, because of jealousy, because they didn't get what they wanted. This is not how we started Release the Snyder Cut, fans. This is not how we began, was it? We began with our hearts in the right place. We became friends, we became brothers and sisters. And look at us now. Look at us now. And how sad is that? Ronnie Dodge, the Snyderverse movement is now a cult. Where's the ropes? Ronnie Dodge, ropes. And, you know, it's very sad. It's very sad. But, you know, as that person saying you've lost it recently, blah, 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 because you're speaking against the movement, you're speaking against Snyder. But I think it's pretty clear Snyder was after revenge and still after revenge. He used the build-up to the green lighting of the Snyder Cut to do it. He used Army of the Dead. He used the marketing again to come after the studio. Then he says there's been radio silence since the release of the Snyder Cut. No shit, Sherlock. Did you think you're going to get a fucking phone call after you've been saying all this stuff? I mean, come on. Come on. You tried your shot, Zach, and it didn't work. Now, I don't know what David Zaslav will do. I don't know if by some crazy miracle he will restore the Snyderverse. I think this guy is ambitious. I think this guy wants to make money and he wants good PR. So he's definitely going to be apologising to certain people AT&T have wronged. So it's an interesting situation. He is trying to push forward this merger sooner than next year. He wants it ratified like now. So I don't know if that can happen. I'm not an expert on these things, but he's certainly pushing for it. And it wouldn't surprise me by the end of this year if the deal is ratified before next year. That makes things very tasty, and we'll see what happens. But the way we're conducting ourselves now isn't great. It isn't a good thing. Going on my timeline and seeing versions. You know, Superman the movie is the most loved version of Superman live action. And you can argue with the wall if you want. It's a fact. It's inspired movie makers. It's inspired people. It inspired me as a child, as a very lonely child and a sad child, to keep going. You know, so you can keep on going on about these superior versions, like Bruce Timm invented Harley. There's no Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn without Bruce Timm. Really, Bruce Timm should be writing Harley, but he's not. But in a fair, just world, he would be. But at least James Gunn has respect for the origins, and he's already said he's going to be very faithful to Harley's origins. Probably not going to make Margot Robbie very happy, but who gives a fuck what she thinks anyway, right? You're an actor, read the lines and shut the fuck up, right? That's my attitude. But this is what happened. We started off in a good place fighting for the Snyder Cut. And you know what? It went bad. JDTSB was saying people are fighting for leadership of this movement. It's greed. It's not about the movement. It's about, hey, this is a famous movement and we want to run it so we can get more viewers. We can get more subs on our platforms and clicks. It's not about Snyder's verse or restoring the Snyderverse anymore. That's why it's fallen. It's amazing how quickly the noise has become quiet. They're not making any noise anymore. Back in the past, I would have been hashtagging as well. I think I've done it once in the past 2 weeks. I retweet some of the stuff that's placid and fair and right. But at the end of the day, I know when something's dead. I realise when something's not worth fighting for. As much as I would love to see Justice League 2 and 3, the people have become indoctrinated, intoxicated by hate and bitterness. And at the end of the day, from the moment I saw Superman the movie, I fell in love with this symbol, with this character, with these DC characters. And all I want is to see an interconnected, awesome franchise. And I believe there's potential, at least potential, for what we get. Now, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad is a very important movie, and the public need to react to it properly. But a few idiots boycotting it is irrelevant. It doesn't really matter anymore. We all started in a good place. We ended in a bad place. But at least we got Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. At least that's something. And if Zack didn't go out for revenge, he and we would have got a lot more. Now, let's talk about the musical In the Heights. Is it called In the Heights? Everybody's talking about this movie, and it's very interesting to me because all the media are talking about it. The public are not talking about it and don't really care about the movie. I think it's a musical with a very kind of minority background cast, and I think this is why the media are so butthurt that it's not successful. It's so important to go and see this movie. Listen, and they're blaming the day and date release. Even though the other movies who were part of the day and date release were quite successful, people went to see them. Listen, we know what era we're in, and a little unknown musical isn't going to make the money that a superhero movie is going to make, or a sequel, what's it called? The Silence, whatever it's called, with Krasinski's movie. What's it called? What is it called? Shit, I can't remember it now. John Krasinski directed it. It's a sequel. It's not The Silence. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, it was a sequel. It's very successful. And, you know, these creatives are so butthurt that this film has been a failure. And they're trying to blame the studio. But the truth is, the intelligent people and me are saying the same things. People just weren't interested in this movie. This should have just been a movie on HBO Max that people watch in the afternoon after they've had sex or something and they're having their chocolates or something and just chilling out. Why do you think people should go and see this movie? You basically want people to see this movie because it's a minority cast, right? But why should I support a movie just because it's got a minority cast? I have to enjoy the movie, right? But they think you're racist if you don't support a movie with a minority cast. This is where we are now. This is the kind of blind, shouty, ridiculous kind of commentary. Some guy was debating with me saying, well, if people don't support this, there won't be any more movies with minorities. You're joking, right? That's all they want to make, movies with minorities. So you don't know what you're talking about. At the end of the day, make good movies, and I don't care who's in them. It doesn't matter how the people identify, as long as they're good movies. And you stop. And also I said to this guy, it's how you market these films. If you keep on telling people, oh, it's so amazing that people that look like me are going to be in this movie. No, tell me what the movie's about. Tell me the motivations of the character. Tell me who wrote the music. Interest me. Inspire me. Excite me. That's great marketing. But you don't know about marketing. All you care about is about your boring political chat, right? They've even got the woman who played Marion in Raiders of the Lost Ark talking about being a great, strong female character in that film. We know. We were there. We know there were strong women. There were better female characters and stronger female characters back in the 80s and 70s than there are now. You don't even know how to write women. You don't know how to do anything original. It's ridiculous. All I hear now about movies, it's the best movie ever. And it never is. There's no such thing as the best movie ever. Not in the 21st century. You wouldn't know how to make in the 21st century the best movie ever if it tripped over to you, said hello and let's have sex. Because these people are creatively bankrupt. And all they do is relaunches and reboots all the time. We're hearing rumours about a Smallville one. Creatively bankrupt. No brand new ideas. Smallville is the very essence of a fresh idea. It takes the Superman mythos, but instead of going to the Superman days, it does a pre-Superman story, so inventive, so original. Do you imagine them coming up with something so original now? Although, surprisingly, it makes me a bit of a hypocrite, Superman and Lois is a very original take on Superman. And finally, we meet Jonathan Kent, young John Kent, who will become Superboy, who will actually become the next Superman. I read the article about him becoming Superman in the comics, which is very exciting. Of course, John has got powers. We just haven't seen them yet. And he is the next era of Superman's story. And that's very exciting. And I can't wait to be able to get the box set for Superman and Lois because I cannot watch it at the moment, which is very sad. So there is some originality, but very few. It's not there. But you can't just cast minorities and say, well, we've put minorities in a film. You're racist, right? If you don't go and see it. It's the Elizabeth Banks mentality when she did Charlie's Angels and said to us, by the way, you're sexist if you don't go and support this movie. No, you made a crap movie, love. We're not going to go and see it. Basically, you've probably got some dirt on some big studio producer. That's why you keep on. How are you able to direct and star in movies? JDTSB agrees story above representation. Of course, story, entertainment value. I don't give a shit. Right, you can represent who you want, but entertain me. Entertain me. And if you don't want to entertain me and you just want to do these diversity hires and virtue signal and not give me something to watch, I ain't going to support your content. And you can call me what is and isn't you want. It's irrelevant to me because the industry and the media have become a bunch of nut jobs. Thank God I've got the best stuff in my cabinet and I can watch it when I want. And that's where we are now. This is where we are. Everyone's arguing. Everyone's got a point of view. Social media has brought us to this kind of civil war against each other. Hot take, hot take. Hot takes are no good because most people are coming up with hot takes just to get attention. It's not your actual opinion, right? But you keep on posting hot takes to stir the shit. Ronnie Dodge, movies is about making good movies, not shoving politics in my face. Well, it's interesting because someone like Oliver Stone shoved politics in our faces with JFK, with Platoon, Born on the 4th of July, but it was done in an intelligent way. He didn't bash you over the head and he made very interesting movies. That's the difference. They don't know how to do it. And as I say, to have political discussion in movies, you need both sides, but they're not willing to put, the other side. Alt leftists believe in absolutes. They deal in absolutes. What is it what Yoda says in the prequels? Only a Sith believes in absolutes. And this is what the alt leftists are. They're Siths. Everything is black and white. You're either with them or against them. Go and watch our movies. We've got a bunch of diversity hires that are not really diversity hires. They've just got the same backgrounds of the people in Hollywood. But we'll pretend that they're minority hires or diversity hires, right? And we won't really cast many or any Native Americans because we don't really care about real diversity, right? It's all a game. It's all a scam. Trump kicked all this off because they went mad over Trump. I don't like the guy either, right? But at least I've got some sense of normality and, rationality about the situation. Ronnie George, most of the lefts are a bunch of snowflakes. I think the alt lefts definitely, not the moderate lefts, but the extreme. Well, they're extremists. It's in the title, isn't it? They're extremists. They're just as bad as the extreme right hate a group of people. The extreme left hate white men. The extreme right, we know who they hate. So it's all about hate. It's not about love. And they talk about compassion. They're the least compassionate people in the political discussion. And that's the thing. Look how they hate us men with a passion. Ronnie Dodge, the extreme ones, definitely. Yeah. Extremism is about hatred. It's not about politics. And it's invaded the entertainment industry. So now they're going to become bankrupt in the next 20 years. America will not run the film industry. English-speaking countries won't own it or make anything because they would have gone bankrupt. And you will see foreign countries, maybe like the French, maybe like the Germans and the Russians, making movies. I believe in 20, 30 years' time, we'll see more foreign language movies because America and the UK would have intoxicated themselves with identity politics. But how many of these people fed black children in the third world? Guess who did? Bob Geldof, a white man. How many celebrities who are people of color have actually fed people in the third world and held these children in their hands as they're dying? So Bob Geldof did. What have they done for communities starving and in desperate need to survive? Now, all they want to talk about is identity politics, an irrelevant talking point, while people are dying all over the world and they do not care about people struggling. They care about identity politics. They are in the wrong side of history. It's as simple as that. But people like Sir Bob Geldof is a legend and an icon because he went out there and he saved lives. That says something, doesn't it? About who are the good people and who are the bad people. Now, I don't believe there's anyone totally good or anyone totally bad. I think we're a bit of, an amalgamation of everything. I am, you are, nobody's perfect, right? But we live in a society with these people now who want all these people to face justice, apart from themselves, of course. They get to do whatever they want. Margot Robbie allegedly had an affair with Will Smith on the set of Suicide Squad, and she goes around talking about toxic masculinity. What about your toxicity, Margot? Right? That's what's so funny to me, the hypocrisy. And of course, I'm going to say allegedly because I don't know if it's true or not. That's what I heard. So, I respected Margot Robbie before Birds of Prey. Then she took off her mask and I saw who she really was. And now she's going to make a laughing stock of herself, making a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Apparently she wants her character to be gay Of course she doesn't. There's nothing wrong with being a gay woman, but there is when you just want a virtue signal. That's the difference. But if you want to see Johnny Depp back in Pirates of the Caribbean, because he literally created the character of Captain Jack Sparrow, and that's the only reason people went to see those movies, there's a game or something with him in it, or something they've done. I'm not sure. I was reading something. I don't know the details. This points that Margot Robbie may not even be able to make it. And maybe Disney have changed their minds and seen the green and the dollar signs, and maybe Johnny Depp will return in the Pirates of the Caribbean. Maybe a star-studded movie alongside Margot Robbie. Now that I would watch the shit out of. Ronnie Dodge, you don't see many films about kids being in care. No, they don't get a spotlight, but all Hollywood cares about is gender and colour of people's skin. Exactly. They are the archetypal racists, right? But they don't like, but now it's all about, you see, they keep on talking about people of colour and black people. They don't care about the black people who are starving to death in the third world, though. So Bob Geldof did, who's a white man. What does that say about their narrative about white men? There's some great people out there, black, brown, Asian. It's not about what colour your skin is or what your sexuality is or, what you identify as. It's about what's in here. This is what the world's forgotten. Identification is irrelevant. It's how you identify in your heart that matters. And people will never understand this. Individualism is dead. We're tagging people with group names. Boomers, this, Gen X. What? I don't even know what that fucking means, right? And I don't care. I'm 48 years old. I care about individuality. I treat people on a one-on-one basis. And so that's how I deal with people. So when people say, oh, the Snyderverse fandom, I don't look at people like that. Individually, I look at people. There's some good ones and there's some not so good ones, right? And I'll keep the good ones as my friends, and I hope that they still come into the chat. And yes, Ronnie George, Bob Gandalf is a legend. Bob Geldof, you mean, right? Bob Geldof is a legend. He thinks of others and either not about himself or their agenda. And he brought up Paula Yates' daughter. Unfortunately, she killed herself, but he tried his best with her. And I think her name was Apple. But yeah, so Bob Geldof is an absolute legend. I'm using him as an example because there's lots of propaganda against men these days, against white men. And I'm holding him up. Every time I hear someone say something, I'm going to quote tweet it. God bless Sir Bob Geldof. This is how you deal with these people, because there's nothing they can say about that. What can they say about Sir Bob Geldof? He's a man. He had sex once. How dare he want to have sex with a woman? These people are not intelligent. Listen to me. These people are not intelligent one little bit. And it's easy to destabilize their arguments, right? They can say, oh, all white people are racist. They say that. I actually think everyone's got a little bit of racism in the back of their heads, but it's not real hatred for others. It's just a little bit stuck in our heads, right? All of us. We all have our biases, right? But apparently, people of certain minorities are not racist, but all white people are racist. Of course, this is not true. But I'm a channel that talks about entertainment, and I don't want to talk about this political shit. It's boring. I don't want to become geeks and gamers. I love entertainment. But entertainment has been infested by these alt-left politicians, and it's a shame. And I'm not interested in you, and I'm not interested in your narrative. I want to see great movies. So if there's any creatives out there who want to make great stuff without, implementing this nut job commentary, then we're friends. Come to the channel. Talk about what you're making, right? I can't pay you, but you can talk to me, and you can tell me how I can put you up, obviously, because I don't know how to do any of that stuff, how to physically put someone on my channel so we can talk. And I think that will be good for the channel to have some guests on there and stuff. So, it's a complicated world right now. It really is a complicated world. Everyone's so angry. But still, I sit here and I look forward to the future of the DC Extended Universe, kind of Arrowverse and the DCEU coming together, and these other multiverses, or this multiverse joining together as canon. It's exciting. The DCEU started in strange circumstances. There's no question about it. Mistakes were made. Those mistakes are starting to be corrected. And let's hope the execution of these movies is to everyone's liking. Ronnie Dodge, I hate the fact apparently I'm white, I'm privileged, but if I tell what I went through as a child, they would think twice. Ronnie Dodge, live the long live the multiverse. Well, do you know what, Ronnie? It doesn't matter what you tell them, what you went through, they'll still say you're privileged. This is the problem. You can't debate with these people. These people are lunatics. They think what they think, and there's nothing in the middle, right? So they don't care what you went through. Obviously, I do, and decent people do. They just see you as a white man. You're privileged, right? I'm very privileged. I don't deny I'm privileged. I've got Greek Cypriot privilege, right? I don't give a shit. I'm proud of it. But I tell you what, I try and help people and do the right things. I try and donate money. I try and help children who haven't got stuff, right? Maybe I'll give them a telly or something like that. It doesn't make me a hero. So I should. So some of us are privileged. But obviously, a lot of black people are privileged. A lot of Asian people are also privileged. But we don't want to have that conversation, do we? Because that's a conversation with a balance. And these nut jobs don't want to talk about that. They just want to keep on talking about their hatred. The problem is with the alt-lefts, their heart's in the right place, but they're so extreme. The way they talk, they put people off. They're literally driving people to the right. And it's insane. It's an insane situation. They actually talk like authoritarians, right? They remind me of the Gestapo rather than people who want to help people and be compassionate. They talk about compassion as a word, but they don't mean it. And it's very, very sad. And our entertainment industry has been infested by these people. And the only thing that can beat that is for us, the audience, to show that we won't invest in their nonsense and their echo chamber. Because once these films start becoming bankrupt, once these studios become bankrupt, then they will, in the end, no matter how powerful and wealthy they are, in the end, they will crumble if we don't go and watch their movies and TV shows and their streaming shows. Every time they do this, they deserve 0 people to watch them. Like what happened to Solo, in direct consequences to The Last Jedi. And this will keep on happening. And they have no power. And they can scream and they can shout and they can call people ists and isms. It's irrelevant. Because we hold the key to the future of Hollywood. Not Hollywood, not the studios, not the loudmouth actors and actresses, right? Not them, us. And they don't like that. We are the powerful. That's why they didn't like the release of the Snyder Cut, because it proved we had power. We are the power. We are the consumer. We always will be the consumer. And, you know, that's the end of it. We are the powerful. Never think you don't have any power. We got the Snyder Cut released because they knew they could make money from it. And then they lied about the money they made from it. That's obvious. But it doesn't matter. They still made the money, right? We have the power. If I decide, and millions of us decide not to see your movies and your streaming shows, you're fucked. So make things that we want to see, or else we won't watch them, or else we won't push your stuff on our platforms, right? Make great entertainment and forget about the rest. You want to represent and include people? Do it. Do it genuinely, but stop boring on about it. We don't want to hear it. We want to talk about the characters, the plots, the motivations of the characters, like they used to, when we had sanity reigning in the industry. And hopefully one day we can get sanity back in the industry. Ronnie Dodge, maybe these morons will learn that general audience won't be interested in woke things. Oh, they know, but they're still fighting. But in the end, things will have to change, or the industry will die. They are killing the industry. JDTSB, hate is useless. Wonder Woman, ZS Justice League. Yes, and I agree with Wonder Woman, and it's a great line of narrative, of course. Hate is useless. Always remember, JDTSB, we're only human, and we do have an element of hate. I used to have lots of hate in my heart. And in the end, I realized that hate only hurts the hater. I don't even want to react to hate anymore. Of course I do, because I'm only human, but not as much as I used to. Mostly I shrug my shoulders and laugh at people that hate on me. Because just because you hate me, does it take me away from this beautiful, huge house? Does it make my swimming pool vanish? No, hate doesn't hurt me. I think we've all got to accept that not everyone's going to love us, and that's okay. Ronnie Dodge, I don't hate, I just dislike people. Yeah, listen, I try not to. It's not easy, especially with social media now. Everyone's in your face. But you know what, Ronnie? At the end of the day, as long as you have some love in your heart, that's all you need. That's all we need in life, to have love in our hearts. And I gained my love in my heart from learning through movies and TV shows the right ways. Seeing Captain Jack Harkness kiss Christopher Eccleston's doctor on the lips. I wasn't annoyed or upset by that, even though I've been taught things in the contrary, right? By people who come from previous generations who didn't get it. But when I saw that moment, I realized that love is love, right? And it was beautiful for me. And it taught me that the stuff that I was brought up being taught was bad, that you should be accepting. It's not about accepting people. What right have I to say, I accept you? It should be an automatic default in our heads. I shouldn't have to accept you. You're there, right? Doing your thing. Love is love, right? But it's the way these things are spoken about today that's keeping the hate alive. If we could talk in a more diplomatic fashion, if the alt-lefts spoke in a more diplomatic fashion, then we could have some kind of situation. We could have peace in the world. We could have better movies instead of what we're getting today. Instead, we had Phoebe Waller-Bridge play a female droid that ended up being the Millennium Falcon and having a relationship, apparently a sexual relationship, with, what's his name? You know who I mean. Lando Calrissian. I mean, who asked for that? Who was entertained by that? I cheered when she fucking died, right? Ronnie Dodge, I'm me, not going to change for anyone or should be difficult. I'm a human, should be our own individual person. Exactly. But there's always going to be hatred. There's always going to be a divide, and that's okay. All we can do is try our best in life, and that's it. We're always going to be flawed. We're sometimes going to do the wrong things, and sometimes we're going to do the right things, and that's okay. So I've changed a lot in my life. I don't think I'll change any further. I am who I am. I'm not going to change to become a successful YouTuber. This is who I am, and to hell with it. So anyway, everyone, there wasn't any news today. There wasn't really many headlines worth reading. So I decided, Ronnie Dodge, auto spelling. I know it's annoying, isn't it? So anyway, I will be back tonight at 6:30 p.m. with Big Mouth Live. As I always say, I hope there's actual news, and there never fucking is. By 4 or 5, there's no news. I know there's going to be no news to talk about. You know, we need some really huge DC entertainment news, and let's hope we get it. So I'm here live from 6:30 p.m. UK time. Please check your local time so you're not late. I will post a link over on Twitter about a couple of hours, 3 hours maybe, before I start the stream. I enjoy the streams. I enjoy talking to everyone. So if you're rewatching this, comment down below. Like, share, and subscribe. Go and watch my pre-recorded videos and like them, please, because I put a bit of effort into them, talking about some things. I think they're solid, good videos, so please show me some support, because I love you guys, right? And I will see you tonight for Big Mouth Live, 6:30 p.m. UK time. Until then, thank you, everyone, and goodbye. See you later.